Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We are continuing our series on hypertrophy.
For hypertrophy,
why it matters for CrossFit and why it's the hidden secret to you getting a lot better. Today, we're going to talk about some more myths about how people think it works. Hopefully, we can help you understand of how to actually do hypertrophy and get better. Myth number 1, you only need 3 sets of 10. That is not a hypertrophy. That is a warm-up set. Friends, that is a warm-up. To get bigger, to get size, you need to do a lot of weekly volume. Most likely to get the results you want, you need to do somewhere between 10 and 20 sets, working sets per week per muscle group.
Recommendations of doing 10 to 20 sets per week per muscle group or 15 to 25 sets per week per muscle group are often based on the meta-analyses by Bas-Val and colleagues or Schoenfeld and colleagues.
It depends on what muscle group, some less than others, but that is the range. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a CrossFit gym and the accessory work is, hey, everybody, let's get 3 sets of 10 of that good morning.
What is that going to do for you?
Honestly, I remember doing comp train for a while. All the accessory work was like 3 sets of 10. Hey, go hit your hip extensions. What is 30 reps going to do for you?
Especially after, I'm assuming, you have done some sort of metcon.
It's crazy. First thing we really need to understand is we need to do more volume if we want to grow that muscle. So get away from the 3 sets of 10. That ain't going to do shit. It's true. Myth number 2, anything over 5 reps is cardio. CrossFitters are famous for only doing 1 rep maxes and 3 rep maxes, and then everything else is metabolic conditioning. It's maybe you're doing 30 reps, in a workout, and that is, first off, that's not cardio. We need to be living in basically 5 reps to 30 reps to get the stimulus that we want for this muscle to grow. 10 to 20 sets, that's your maximum adaptive volume per muscle per group. And the sets need to be 5 reps to 30. That seems to be what the science is showing. And guess what? They need to be hard. We need to be kind of going almost till failure on each of these sets. And really quickly, just to kind of understand, lower reps in general is for you to get stronger. Higher reps is for you to get hypertrophy. Madeline, did you used to believe this? I feel like you did.
I never did hypertrophy until last year.
So you did think high reps was cardio?
Yeah. And if I did any sort of hypertrophy, if you want to call it that, it was like what you were just describing. Oh, I'm going to do my bicep curls after I've done a workout.
Let's talk about myth number 3. You can get really big from just hitting all your compound lifts. So again, compound lifts are amazing, but that's not how you're going to get huge. Okay. If you only squat, only deadlift, only do those big lifts, it's not going to get you big. Here's why. It's too fatiguing for you to do enough work. That's the problem. And it's not isolated enough. While it's really efficient and we love those movements, we do tons of squats, deadlifts, presses, etc., but it's not focused enough. And we cannot do the type of volume we need to get the stimulus that we want. You need both for strength and size. But the big miss is people just aren't doing the stuff that gives them size, hypertrophy. So don't buy into the myth that, I just need to squat, deadlift, and press, and I'll just get huge. And most of you will struggle because to get stronger at some point, you need to get bigger. So that's the connection. You're going to hit a plateau. And the only way that you're going to get stronger is by getting bigger. Madeline, you're kind of in that spot, right?
Yeah, where's that muscle going to go if you're the same size?
It's just going to continue to just live inside this muscle. Dude, I'm so strong and so tiny. I've seen some people be pretty dang strong for their size, but there is a limitation there. You're going to notice the parallel between pretty big people that have a lot of muscle mass and strength. Okay, next myth. You can get really big by eating like a rabbit. Muscle requires a lot of food. The two go hand in hand. You have to eat to get the muscle you want. And so here's a couple just basics. Ideally, you're eating 1 pound a gram of protein per body weight. That seems to be pretty standard across all the research. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. There is a lot of new data that's come out that you could eat more protein and it seems to help even more. You probably need to be in a surplus calorically to get this muscle, meaning imagine trying to build a bunch of muscle if you're just starving all the time. That would be pretty tough.
Impossible, actually.
Thank you. Maybe I just didn't want to say it like that. Big myth is if we're going to put on the size that we want, the nutrition has got to match. And ideally, because we're going to be putting on muscle and weight, being in a little bit of a surplus and getting enough protein is going to be key. It's a big piece of it. Madeline, anything you want to add? You got some degrees to back this up.
If you want to get big, you got to eat big.
Anton, you got to eat big to get big.
Okay. Hey,
It's true.
should have just said that. Last myth I think is important to share here is maintaining our muscle mass means we don't have to do anything. That's maintenance. That's not really true. Maintenance doesn't mean that we lifted and now we stop lifting. Like I said, to maximum adaptive volume 10 to 20, and effective volume might be on the lower end of that for a lot of people, like around 8 to 12 sets per muscle per week. But maintenance volume is somewhere between 5 and 10 sets per week per muscle. So we still need to train, but we can train much less and we can maintain what we've done. So this is really useful in seasons where maybe we're not trying to gain size. We just finished maybe a big season of hypertrophy, or maybe it's a busy season of life, or maybe it's a deload. These are the type of things we can do, just back off a little bit. But pretty amazing that you can maintain all the work you've done with potentially one day.
Oh, wow.
Of hypertrophy. One day. And you're just going to stay jacked.
I'm going into a competition season. What if I lose all my muscle?
One thing that I would say that's really a benefit of being a CrossFit athlete is because we do so much compound lifts, especially leading into a competition. We do so much movement, so much training. CrossFit is actually pretty amazing at maintaining your muscle. You are going to lose muscle just by the sheer fact of how much conditioning CrossFit athletes have to do. But I've been pretty amazed on even you, Madeline, what you've been able to maintain through all of your training for semifinal. You're maintaining. It's pretty wild. And we're not necessarily doing any hypertrophy, but you just are doing so much squatting, so much pressing. You can be more specific, but I think, again, if you're in the CrossFit space, CrossFit doesn't suffer from maintaining, it suffers from gaining. CrossFit is really good at maintaining and helping you live in a plateau, which you don't always want to do. A lot of people get excited when they CrossFit because they get better for a year and then they plateau, but what we don't realize is that you plateau forever and you maintain that. And so you have to understand how to get past that plateau. For most of you is getting stronger.
Is that why we're doing hypertrophy classes twice a week at Blue House right now?
It is. It is. And we're starting to see it come together for a lot of people. If they do it long enough and they see what a phase of training looks like where they ramp up for a competition and then back off, they're going to start to see like, wow, this is really working. The last thing I want to share is frequency always beats hero days. Okay, so CrossFit is famous for hero workouts, hero training. It's like you just do all this work in one day, So I could imagine a CrossFitter out there like, oh, I need to do 10 to 20 sets. Dude, I'm going to hit 20 sets on like biceps, triceps, chest, back today.
One day?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And like, that is the dumbest thing you could do. We have to explain this because in CrossFit, like you might think, let's just hit all that in one day. Ideally though, this work is spread out over a week, over 2 to 3 sessions. So don't hit 20 sets of biceps in one day, hit it over 3 days. I want to give you all a final word about hypertrophy, and hopefully this is helpful. Hypertrophy is not complicated. It just requires effort, structure, and a willingness to do boring things consistently. So stop program hopping, stop quitting early, stop pretending soreness means progress, track your sets, hopefully hire a coach to do that for you, push close to failure, eat like it matters, give yourself time. Because if you're still small after all of this, you didn't train wrong, you just didn't train hard enough. Blue House, out.